Hello, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I am Dr. Gail, and I am so glad that you are here. It is Thursday, and you know what goes down here on Thursday. Wife Life with Dr. Gail goes down here on Thursday. So do me a huge favor. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it so you will know when I go live. And so tonight I want to talk to the men and the women who watch my channel tonight, because this is something that is big and it's something that is affecting marriages all over the world. I want to talk to you tonight about unresolved childhood wounds or unresolved childhood trauma.
We're bringing sexy back. We're bringing sexy back.
Let's get it started. Harder, won't you give it up?
Why do we keep fighting over the same stuff? This teaching is for you. And you might not even realize that childhood wounds can affect your emotional experiences now in your marriage. Whether you dealt with being rejected, abused, abandoned, lack of affection, consistent criticism, even if you witness unhealthy relationships growing up, all of these things can affect you now that you're in your marriage. And we don't equate those things because you're like, that happened when I was 5, 6, 2, 3, whatever age that was. But if you are dealing with some form of fighting all the time over the same issue, it could be that you have some childhood trauma that you have not dealt with, and you keep bringing it up, and it just manifests in different areas of your marriage. Okay? And this can be for women or men, right? We're not even diving into the sexual trauma part of it. It's just the day-to-day trauma. Like I said, if you was criticized all the time, you witnessed unhealthy relationships between your mom and your dad or other people, you felt rejected, you felt abused, you was abused physically and mentally abused. All of these things can manifest in different ways in different areas in your marriage. Okay? So let me just tell you, how do they show up in men and women in your marriage? For one, you have a fear of abandonment. Yes, you do. You might not think that you do, but you get anxious when your spouse pulls away. You get anxious when they just need some space, right? You overreact when they say, I just need some space, I just need a day to myself. You want to know why and how come, and all of those kind of things show up, and you don't even equate that it could be that little girl or that little boy that was abandoned back in the day. Okay? It could be that you feel too needy, and you feel like you got to just know their every move, their every thought, their every whim of what's going on in their life, because you're needy. You need them to validate. You need them to say something in every situation, right? And that could be a fear of abandonment, right? What about the fear of rejection? You always feel unloved even when your spouse says, I love you, right? You avoid being vulnerable in front of your spouse, because whenever you was vulnerable in front of your parents or whoever raised you, you was criticized or told you to suck it up if you're a man, men don't cry, all of those kind of things. Or you as a woman, you're too whiny, you're too needy, so you're not able to be vulnerable with your spouse, right? Or you become a people pleaser, right? You say yes to make sure that they love you, they see you, they want you around, right? It shows up in so many different ways, right? Number 3, it can show up as being over controlling, right? You have to micromanage everything in the relationship, right? You have to be in control of every single aspect, the finances, the kids, what they wear, how long they stay gone. All of these kind of things that you might not even think came from your childhood could be manifesting in your childhood, right? The fear of losing control, right? If your spouse is like, hey, back off, like, I know how to get this done, I don't need your help, right? You don't want them to be independent from you because you feel that you're losing control, okay? Or you always have to dominate the conversation and not allow your spouse to speak freely when he or she has an opinion, right? Often being controlling is rooted in addictive parents and parents that allowed you to grow up too fast, or allowed you to have too much say, or they controlled your every single move. So you believe that you need to control your spouse as well. Number 4, how wounds and abuse can show up in your marriage is avoidance of conflict, right? You feel like you are walking on eggshells all the time, right? You don't want to rock the boat, right? You always shut down and say, I'm fine, when you're really not. That is childhood trauma, that you're not able to articulate what is really going on. So you just say, I'm fine, right? You bottle things up and then you explode when you have had enough, right? Because you don't have the words, or you was not given the freedom as a child to express yourself, right? And this really is something that a lot of people deal with, right? They're walking on eggshells. They're always saying they're fine. But when they get to a point where they're fine, and then they explode, the spouse is like, where did this even come from? How come you did not say X, Y, and Z? And then they just spew 1,000 things. And you're like, but that happened 5 months ago, right? And it's because as a child, you was taught you need to be seen but not heard. Okay? Number 5 is performance-based love. Now, this is something that most people don't even realize is a wound or a form of abuse, right? You're only valued when you're doing something great, right? Your parents only noticed you when you were, at the top of your class, or you was, a star athlete, or you was getting all of these different accolades. Other than that, they didn't even notice you, okay? You believe that you're not loved unless you're earning something for them to love you for. This is a hard one, because that sets you in a space where you feel you have to be such a high achiever for someone to love you. And it can cause a lot of problems in your marriage, because your spouse is going to love you unconditionally, but you just keep thinking that you have to keep earning and doing and progressing and winning and doing all of these things for them to love you. But that's not the reason why they fell in love with you in the first place, okay? You feel that you might be a burden if you don't achieve this kind of accolades, or make this kind of money, or be able to be seen in this type of light, that you're not lovable. And that's not true, okay? And again, I'm just going over some practical wounds that we face in our marriages that we don't equate for being that little girl or that little boy, okay? How do you identify if you're dealing with some wounds in your marriage? Ask yourself these questions. What are the biggest triggers in my marriage? What do me and my spouse often argue about? When did I first feel this emotion as a child? Do I react to my spouse as I am reacting to something deeper, right? When I'm reacting to a situation, am I trying to defend that little girl or that little boy that I was not able to defend back then? Okay? And what do I need to express to my spouse to allow them to understand? It's not you. I'm dealing with this childhood trauma that I did not know that it was still affecting me today. You got to have that conversation, okay? You do. And as I get ready to close, I hope and pray that I was able to get you to thinking, if you keep going, you and your spouse keep having the same conversations and you keep getting the same results, it could be some childhood trauma that has not been dealt with. And let me just tell you this, I can help you with it. I can. And I want to see you win. But you have to acknowledge what you have going on in order for the help to come. You have to acknowledge to yourself, and then you have to acknowledge to your spouse, okay? I love you guys to pieces, but before I go, if you want to talk to me about this video or any of my videos, do me a favor and click the link pod below and schedule a free 15-minute call with me. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to give you one tool or one strategy to help you in your marriage. I love you guys to pieces. I'm here every single Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will see you next week.